first up, it's Thursday's Guardian, and Paul, has Starmer read the room here?
Well, Johnson and Sunak should retain COVID convictions, says Starmer. Labour leader says Tories calling for amnesty on rule breakers are out of touch with people who paid a high price. I think he is out of touch. I think he is personally. My personal opinion is that all COVID convictions related to the COVID rules, should now be quashed. I think, look, what he's trying to do there is conflate the tragic deaths of people with what happened at number 10, let's say, cake and all this sort of stuff.
Them deciding lockdown.
Yeah,
That's a joke.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that if Boris Johnson hadn't had that party, the cake hadn't been eaten, those very tragic and sad deaths still would have happened. There are people out there that got fines for meeting in groups of 7 or, going for a walk longer than an hour. Quash it all.
Yeah, well, as it says here, 55% of those 28,000 people were people under 30.
Yeah,
so
disgusting.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And fines, Boris Johnson got fined £50, but the average fine was £6,000, going up to 10,000.
A lot of them fell apart in court because it was all nonsense. Yeah, it was appalling. It was an appalling time. And Starmer can shut up, really, because he wanted longer, harder lockdowns. Also, he was caught at some sort of party, hence the nickname Severe Cormer.
That's slightly different. Come on, man, we've been through that 1,000 times.
Have we?
Yeah, that whole thing was just.
I just wanted to say Severe Cormer.
Okay, it was good, but come on, let's not go down that. Let's not go down that road again.
I don't want to go down that road because I understand the anger. People can be angry with Sunak and Johnson particularly, and I can understand that. But the larger point, as Paul says, it should all be quashed. It's not a case of letting off people because they're powerful, because in this case, all the laws were nonsense. And as Lord Sumption pointed out at the time, you don't have a moral obligation to follow the law. He said you have a legal obligation to follow, which is a tautology. It's meaningless because it's the law. Yeah. But you don't necessarily have a moral obligation to follow an unjust law. And these were unjust laws.
Yeah, as we saw, just again, the youth being unfairly targeted. But my personal way through this is to keep the convictions for Sunak and Johnson, and then everyone else is fine.
Well, you probably have a lot of sympathy with that, to be honest.
But I understand he's Starmer is caught a little between a hard and a rock place.
I don't think he is, actually. I think
hard and a rock place? Rock and a hard place.
Both of those places are quite different. I just think that he's deliberately conflating the two things for political gain. And one thing I hate is when he ignites that emotion, he says all these tragic deaths, right? We all agree with that. Like, we don't agree with that. But it doesn't really matter. Two guys going out, meeting when they shouldn't have done and having beers
in a park.
Who are these two guys for?
Where's this hamster cheese?
I experimented during the lockdown
in the bushes.
That £6,000 fine was unjust.
We're going to move on now.